Mac Jones has completely transformed his body this offseason, and he's really looking like a true professional compared to how he entered the NFL in 2021. We're going to get into Mac Jones and his crazy offseason work, and also a little bit about the Patriots offseason and what to expect from them in 2022. So welcome to the channel. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe and drop a like on the video if you guys do enjoy it. We're around 400 subscribers away from 3,000, so if you guys are new, be sure to subscribe. But with all that being said, let's hop into the video about Mac Jones and his crazy body transformation this offseason. As a rookie, Mac Jones was fairly impressive. Many of the top draft picks in last year's draft did not have a successful season. Trevor Lawrence was in a lot of turmoil in Jacksonville with Urban Meyer and all those situations, and he had a negative touchdown to interception ratio and really had one of the worst seasons for number 1 overall pick that we've seen in recent memory. And then Zach Wilson, the number 2 overall pick for the Jets, he also kind of had an up and down season. And there's really only a couple quarterbacks that I thought had pretty good seasons, and that was Mac Jones and Davis Mills. I thought what Davis Mills was able to do towards the end of the year with his situation was pretty impressive. But Mac Jones was really the standout quarterback from the class last year, and he put some good numbers together, completing 67% of his passes for 3,800 yards, 22 touchdowns to only 13 interceptions. And as I've already compared to some of the other rookie quarterbacks, those numbers are pretty fantastic. It's not common where quarterbacks enter the league and they have a fairly good season and make the Pro Bowl, which Mac Jones did in his rookie season. So many Patriot fans are intrigued with what Mac Jones did last year and think he can develop into a very good quarterback down the road. In the same season that he made the Pro Bowl, he did also bring the Patriots to the playoffs. They won 10 games and made the wild card round. They did get dismantled by the Bills, but if you had to place the blame on the Patriots team for that loss, it was really going to be mainly on the defense. Josh Allen had a historic game for the Bills, and by the end of the first quarter, the game was pretty much out of reach. There was just no way the Patriots were going to come down from a double-digit deficit on the road in a windy, snowy kind of playoff game. But it was still very impressive that Mac led them there, and he got some valuable playoff experience, which will definitely help him as he goes into his career and gets further into the playoffs. But the Patriots entered the offseason with a lot of moves and a lot of questions on what they were going to do with some of the older players on the roster, and they had some very important decisions to go as far as financially with J.C. Jackson. And that's really where I want to get into some of the offseason moves that the team has made. The Patriots did not bring back J.C. Jackson, their best defender, which I thought was a little bit questionable. Bill Belichick and the Patriots are really good at finding these under-the-radar players and kind of developing them. That's exactly what they did with J.C. Jackson, but I'll be curious to see if they can do that again. It's not super easy to find a top 10 cornerback, so have the Patriots replace him. I'll be very curious to see how it works out. They brought back Malcolm Butler, and I kind of think he's their replacement for this season, kind of their stopgap as they kind of develop some young guys. But J.C. Jackson wasn't the only key player that the Patriots lost from their roster. They also traded away Shaq Mason to the Buccaneers in exchange for a 5th-round pick. And Shaq Mason is one of the best guards in the entire NFL, and I really couldn't believe that they only got a 5th-round pick for him. It was almost like Bill Belichick was kind of doing a favor for Tom Brady. The Bucs lost 2 starters on their offensive line this offseason, so I kind of like to joke that Bill Belichick was paying Tom Brady a favor and giving him one of the better guards in the league to replace those guys. But I didn't think that trade made sense. I wasn't a huge fan of their J.C. Jackson move, and I really wasn't a fan of what the Patriots did this offseason as a whole. Their new wide receiver 1 this year will be Devontae Parker. They got him in a 5th-round pick from the Miami Dolphins in exchange for a 2023 3rd-round pick. The Patriots thinking when making this trade, I believe, was they were going to get a compensatory pick back for J.C. Jackson, which is most likely going to be a 3rd-round pick. So they're going to surrender their own 3rd-round pick and then get one back. And I do like Devontae Parker. I think he can be a really good player when he's on the field, but the problem with him is he's just really never on the field. He's always kind of dealing with some nagging injury, and even when he's on the field, he's usually nicked up. He's not 100%, but if he can stay healthy, I do believe he's a good wide receiver. The 1 year where he stayed healthy for the Dolphins throughout his entire career, he was one of the better receivers in the league. He had 1,200 yards, so we'll see if he can return to that form, although I would not count on it if I was a Patriots fan. And then one of the other key storylines of this offseason for the Patriots was Josh McDaniels, their offensive coordinator for the last really 2 decades. He got hired by the Las Vegas Raiders to be their next head coach, and that has created one of the biggest storylines for the Patriots this offseason. Who is going to be their next offensive coordinator? They brought back Matt Patricia, they brought back Joe Judge, 2 former Patriot coaches. They got head coaching jobs elsewhere. It didn't really work out, and the Patriots brought them back on their staff. It's alleged that both of those guys may be the offensive coordinators, kind of like a co-offensive coordinator, a pass game coordinator, and a run game coordinator, and one of them will call the plays. What's weird to me about that is they both don't really have an offensive background background. Joe Judge is kind of a special teams and defensive guy, while Matt Patricia has been a defensive guy his entire coaching career. So I'm not really too sure what the thought process is behind that. The Patriots didn't go out and get an experienced play caller or promote some guy on their staff already that has experience on that side of the ball. So I'll be really interested to see how that affects Mac Jones's development and what the offense looks like in 2022. In the draft, the Patriots addressed some of their needs, which we've already mentioned before. Getting rid of Shaq Mason, the Patriots went out and got Cole Strange out of Chattanooga, and I know that pick got a lot of hate. People believe that Strange could have been picked late in the second or maybe the early third round. I get all that, but if you're really confident in a prospect, in a player, and he turns out to be really good, I don't think it's an issue. I do think the Patriots could have gotten some better value at this spot, but if Cole Strange can step in and be as good as Shaq Mason was for the Patriots or around that same type of level, I think it was a good pick, and we'll see if Strange can answer the call and prove the Patriots right for picking him where he was selected. In the second round, the Patriots went out and got Tyquan Thornton out of Baylor, the speedster wide receiver, and that's really been an issue with the Patriots offense the last couple of years. Not enough speed on the offensive side of the ball. He ran a 4.28 40 at the combine. A lot of the questions that the scouts had was his hands, how efficient of a pass catcher is he, and then his route running, is he going to be able to develop as a route runner and improve those areas of his game? We'll have to see how all that plays out, but he does have the physical tools to be a very good receiver in the league. But those are really the main acquisitions the Patriots made this offseason, and now I want to get into the work that Mac Jones has been putting in with his receivers and all by himself. On top of throwing with his receivers in OTAs and minicamp and getting some more chemistry down, Mac Jones and his receivers were out in California. I don't know if they took a vacation together or what the exact reason was why they were all the way to the West Coast, but they were still getting in work, and Mac Jones and Nelson Aguilar were posting a lot of different clips and highlights of those practice sessions, which is great to see as the Patriots have a lot of new receivers in their room, and the receivers also had a couple issues last year, so this is a great thing for them to be able to build chemistry on and off the field. Another thing I'd like to mention is Mac Jones's girlfriend also posted a picture of Mac Jones kind of flexing outside of her car, and it's really gained a lot of hype across social media. Mac Jones kind of entered the league with a little bit of a stomach. He wasn't exactly fit as we expect most NFL players to be, but now he's looking like he took it to a whole nother level, and he's looking a lot stronger this offseason. I'll be really interested to see how that carries over to the season. He's posted some more clips of him working out in the gym just by himself with a personal trainer, so you can see it's really important for Mac Jones to excel this season, and some of his teammates have taken notice as he's been around the team during OTAs and minicamp. Kendrick Bourne said he's in the best shape of his life. He looks really good. His stomach is gone. And the Patriots veteran center David Andrews had a lot of good things to say about him as well. He said the kid's a hard worker. He works his butt off day in and day out. Sometimes I just try to get him to take a deep breath, but that's what you want out of your quarterback. He works really hard. He's a tough kid. It's been fun for me the last year and a half to get to know him. I've got a lot of respect for how he does things and how he carries himself. And as one of the big leaders on the Patriots roster, that's a glowing endorsement of Mac Jones, who will be kind of looking to take in that leadership role as he becomes a more experienced player on the team. But reporters even asked Mac Jones about his diet and his fitness this offseason, and Mac said, "I just cleaned up my diet. I've learned more this offseason than I probably ever had about nutrition, sleep, wellness, and all that stuff." He also said, "At the same time, I need to be able to maintain my weight and be able to take hits." He continued, "There's a fine balance for every player. I've definitely trend down on the body fat, and I'll get a chance to bulk up before the season starts and be able to absorb hits." So Mac Jones may not look like a bodybuilder when the season begins, but you're definitely gonna be able to tell a difference between Mac as a rookie and Mac this year. But Mac Jones has been putting in serious work, and I think he can take another step in year 2. I'm a little bit worried about the Patriots' overall roster around him, but they still have Bill Belichick, and I believe that he's gonna be able to get the most out of whatever team and players that he has. But thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and drop a like on the video if you guys do enjoy it. Let me know what you think of Mac Jones and his work this offseason, and if you think he's going to take another jump in year 2. And also let me know what you think of the Patriots and what you expect their record to be this season. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.